Okay, continuing on about drawings. I figure I probably ought to show you how to create the project and copy those things over so we can all be on the same page as we're going forward. Because several of your drawings that you're going to do are going to be of parts that you've already created. So what we'll do is here from the startup screen, let's go here. And if you hit the pull down, it'll show you projects that are in your, that you've already created, okay? Well, I don't want any of those. So I'm going to hit the buttons and go settings. And I want a new project. It's going to be a single user project. And I'm going to name it, for this drawing, I'm going to call it 6-13. And I want to create a new folder. Now you see the default here is under my documents and in Inventor. That's not where I want it. I want it where I'm saving all my stuff for this class. Come on. Oh, because I'm dealing with network here, it's a little bit different. There we go. There's the documents. And I go courses 1105, and I'm going to put this one in week 8 because that's the assignment for this. And I want a new folder there. Duh. I don't want to just, if you can create the folder using Windows Explorer, that's not a problem. Let me scroll down to there, and I'm clicking on week 8, and I want to go make a new folder, and I'm going to call it 6-13. Huh? You didn't take the name of it. Rename 6-13. I can't, oh. Now let's see, did that work? Calling it new folder. This is cantankerous. There. I don't know, that was weird. Okay. And then it will create a project file, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. Then we go next. You don't need to add these libraries because these are electrical components, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we go finish. Okay. And then that makes that particular project the active project. And then we'll go done. Now, let me come over here to Explorer. Week 8, there's the project folder that I created, and there's the project file. Now, Inventor uses that to keep track of everything that goes along with this particular project. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is open your existing part. And so I have mine saved right here. And so I want to open that. And so I'm in Windows Explorer here. And so I'm going to go open. It'll open it in Inventor. Now I want to save it. And I'm going to do save as. And I want to go to that particular project folder that I created. And I'm going to rename it since I created it under the old version of the textbook. And I'm going to save it as 6-13. Our naming convention that I use is pretty much the assignment number from the textbook. And then once you get multiple parts and files and things, then we address that in future classes. Some of the videos are going to show using the part name. I prefer to use the drawing number because that's what gets populated into the drawing. And so I'm going to go save, and I'm saving it in that new project folder. Okay, and so now I'll create a drawing. And this is an inch drawing, so I'm going to use the ANSI inch title block. And this one in the instructions is a B-size sheet, so let's change that down. To a B-size sheet and go OK. And now I want to load my part view in there and make sure you've got the one there in your week 8, 613. Okay. And so there's my base view, there's my top view, there's my right side view. And I'm not going to worry about the isometric for right now because that's not important to what we're doing. So we'll do that. And then kind of drag these things down a little bit. Line them up. Okay, and so that's looking good. Yeah, the large title block will be okay. Now let's save this. And if I go save, you see it's going to my project folder that I created, and I can leave it as that. Of course, you're going to put your last name in there, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Now you see it populated the file name we're saving the drawing as. It populates that in the drawing number field. That's why I like to use the drawing number, the assignment number, instead of the name of the part. Okay. All right. Well, while we're talking about title blocks, let's go ahead and do that. So if I come up here to File and go iProperties, and I go, this is all the information about this particular Inventor file. Windows Explorer will give you very little information about it. This gives you the whole deal. And so if I go Summary, here are things that I can put in about this particular thing. The author is whatever the default computer login you have, unless you have changed that in the program options. Okay. The title for this is Index Feed, and company is the name of the college. Okay, now I recommend that you use all caps because that's the standard way of doing things from back in the day. All right. And the reason for that is that we lettered in all capital letters because it was easier to read than lowercase letters. Because lowercase letters, you could mistake Q's and G's for each other. Some people draw their A's differently than others and things like that. So when we did lettering, we did it all in upper caps. And I recommend you continue that. If we go to the project tab, here it has lots of other information, okay? When your company does these things, they may want a stock number and a description and things like that. Okay, status is just that. When you're working in a manufacturing design company, you're going to have these things that will become part of your drawing and your way of doing life, as far as when it's checked, who is checked by, things like that. So I'll say okay, and you can see here it populates that information in the title block. All right, so we've got our views. We need to put in some center lines, and so we'll go to the Annotate tab, and we'll come right over here, and we've got several different types of center marks. So here we're going to go center mark, and I'm going to choose that circle. and it'll place the center mark. Okay. Now then, let's look at that. So I'm going to select it and right click and go edit center mark style. Now I'm not going to edit the style, but I want to show you this. We do not do line type scales for the most part in Inventor. In AutoCAD, yes. In Inventor, it's already set up. And so here are the settings. Now your company may want to change things. That's totally up to your company, but this is the way Inventor works. And you notice the length of A, the center mark cross, and then how far it extends to the outside are dependent upon each other. So it's a little bit different than what we do in AutoCAD. Okay, now for the most part, we're not going to edit these. We're going to leave them as they are in Inventor in the defaults, okay? But I just wanted to show you that. Now the other centerline things, we've got here centerline, a bisector, which you select two lines. And so I'll select those two lines and it will draw a centerline in the midpoint of those. And if it's not long enough, you just select it and grab one of the handles and pull it out visually to make it long enough. And sometimes you'll have to do a little bit more. Okay, the other option here, this center line, this is one that you would use when, like if you have a hole with a keyway, or you have a hole that has been, it's not a full circle hole, maybe it's an arc with a flat side or something like that. And you have to project where that center line is. And it's a little more difficult to use. And so, and I have to play around with this thing because I always have trouble with it. It's just a fact of life. So I rarely use it, okay? It's difficult to use. The centerline bisector is nice and easy, okay? Okay, so that was kind of how to add center lines. That is just difficult to use. Now the centered pattern, I've got another video that deals with that when we get to a drawing with how to create those. Now when it comes to dimensions, it's pretty, it's a whole lot easier than AutoCAD. Even the new, AutoCAD dimension tool, Inventor works so much easier. The problem is you've got to click in the right places. Now I could select a whole line segment and it would pull a dimension off for that. Look, we'll go with this one here since it goes all the way up. And you'll notice you get little snaps, if you will, at certain distances. Most of the time those are good. Sometimes they are not. Okay. So, it depends on what you're doing. But let's come down here and let's look at this front view. And yeah, this is the tutorial video for you, but you're going to be doing this project a little bit later in the week. And so I'm going to go dimension. If I hit D on the keyboard, it activates the dimension command. And so I want to dimension from here to here. And you notice I selected those lines, not points. And I drag out, I get a snap. That looks right from the left side, okay? And then I want, there's not really there is a continue, but it's called chain. Okay, and it gets a little bit more complicated. We'll deal with that in the future. And so now I want to put my next dimension in. So I'm going to go back to this line and come to this line and pull out and align those up and then snap it. Okay. And now I want to do an overall. And you notice you do get corner snaps. Okay, and so now look, and the spacing is okay on that. It's just the text is kind of close to that line, and you notice it does cover up that extension line. So I escape out of my dimension command and select that one, and I can just grab that text and move it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's go up to the top view here. The circle and the angle here. Okay, so if to locate circles, so we'll dimension and I want to pick this corner, and I could pick the actual corner if I wanted to, but I want that line because if I pick here, I'll demonstrate that to you. I'm going to go to the center mark and I'm going to pull out. You notice there's no gap right here because this extension line is going over to the end of the segment that I selected. That is not a proper way to do it. So I want to dimension from the outside edge of the corner, and you can go to the center mark or you can go to the circle, either one. The circle is probably better because it joins the dimension line, the extension line, and the center line together the way it should be. That's the proper way that it should look. Okay, now an angle dimension works beautifully as compared to AutoCAD, okay? So I just click my two lines that I want and place it. Easy peasy. Okay, let me go back down to the front view and we'll go to this center line for this hole here. So I'll do that, and then I'll come over here and I'll select the actual center line itself. And then I can pull down and place that one. Now here you notice my first snap is like way out there because I selected that center line last, I believe. Let's go back and do it again. So I'll select the center line first. Oh, dimension didn't activate. Center line, and then this edge. Okay. And so you notice it doesn't join those together right there. I could grab the center line and pull it on down, but then that moves the dimension. It's just a quirk of Inventor. Okay. Let's look at holes up here. So in AutoCAD, we would just do a diameter dimension and then edit the text to add the hole information. But if you created your holes with the hole feature, the hole tool, you can use the hole and thread note here to dimension your hole with. Okay, and so it puts all of your information in there. Maybe you just did an extrusion and you cut this. In that case, you're going to end up just dimensioning it. Because I used the hole feature to create it. There we go. Okay, and so if you do an extrusion to create your holes, the hole in the thread feature may work, it may not work. So you may have to edit your text here. And so I go ahead and use my dimension command to create it, escape, and then double click it to edit it. Now these double brackets here, that means it's pulling the information from the model. Okay, and if I want to add information to it, I'm going to use my arrow key to go back over to the left, and I'm going to add a diameter symbol and type 0.50 through, press the enter key, and then looking at my symbols here, I'm going to find my countersink counter bore. Where you at? Here we go. I'm going to go counter bore and then diameter again, And I'll leave my text right there because that's my dimension. And so I'll click to the right or arrow key to the right. I'm going to go with a space. And now I'll add my depth symbol right there. And then type it in and go OK. So you see that was a lot of work to dimension something, and so it makes it so much easier if you use the hole tool to create your holes. And if it's a threaded hole, by golly, it puts that thread information in there for you. Okay, let's look at one dealing with tolerance down here. Okay, because in this particular one we have a tolerance dimension across the bottom. And because it's a tolerance, I'm going to pull out some extra space here and place it. Now, because it's a tolerance, we have to go in and edit it. So I'm going to double click that and go here to precision and tolerance. This particular one has a 3 decimal place precision. So I'm going to come down here and change that to 3 decimal places. And this one has, it's got limits. Is that what I want? Yep, limit stacked. The upper limit is 0.750. The lower limit is 0.745. And then I'll say OK. And that's how you create a tolerance dimension. Okay. So that covers a lot of those things. One of the things on notes, okay, so notes here, and I click to place it, not like in AutoCAD, you don't have to draw the whole rectangle, okay? And then you choose your type of text. Now, general notes on a drawing should be 1/8 inch text, or 0.12 is fine. The other option is a label text, which in this case is 3/16. It is used sometimes, but most of the time you're just going to use note text. Okay, and in this particular case, there it is. Okay, material, cold roll steel. Heat treat. One required. Okay, and just like any word processor, you can do bullets, you can do numbering, justification, bold, italics, underline, that kind of stuff. Symbols, you know, just like any other kind of thing. So we'll say okay. That's a lot of the regular dimensioning kind of stuff. It is possible to pull dimensions from, well, before I do that, let's go back to Leader. Leader works, pretty much the same way as in AutoCAD. You place it, except for here, I clicked once and it places the edge of the shoulder, and you see it can keep going. So you want to hold horizontal and then right click and go continue. And it will create it. So it's got an extra click in there to be able to create it. Okay. Chamfer note. You can try that out with a chamfer. It works off of 2 lines, and you can, it'll do it for you. And we'll deal with these things in another video here, because I think that pretty well covers what I wanted to. Yeah, that's enough for this video. I'll come back again later.